We're live.
All
Hello,
right.
welcome back to Chai Together. I am your host and founder, Prati Day. You are tuning in for your cup of courage, hope, and imagination today. We use courage on this platform to showcase the stories. We use hope to overcome, and we use imagination to resonate and understand with the stories being shared. So, with that being said, I would like to welcome my friend, my very great coach, Mr. Jon Talarico.
Thank
And
you.
we have people tuning in already. So, thank you, everyone who's tuning in. And let's get rolling. So, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Patiba. So excited to be here having our chai together.
Yeah, without your mug.
Yes,
On
but
your
I understand.
behalf, I'll
Yes,
hold
I
one up.
understand it's been shipped. I'll have to find it. But yes.
Yeah. Hi, Gaja and Joanna tuning in. Thank you. Allison, thank you.
Uh-oh, they're all
Wow,
here.
everyone's showing
Patiba.
up for you. It's a party. All right.
Yes.
So, as we begin, I want to tell the viewers a bit about you with a bio that I wrote up myself. So,
Wonderful.
Mr. Jon Talarico is PGI's top 1% coaches and consultants. Those for you who don't know what PGI is, it's Procter and Gallagher Institute, hosted by Mr. Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher. And he's also a movie producer, author, philanthropist, and overall a results coach. He's worked with his industry's top people such as Akon, Miss Sonia Riccati, and Mr. Les Brown from The Power Voice. And he has also co-created The Power Voice. And that's just to name a few of the people. Jon comes from humble beginnings and has created the ladder and has climbed the ladder to create his own success. He did this via his two people removed rule. So let's find out more about Mr. Jon Talarico.
Wow, Patiba, what an
21 people
introduction.
sorry, 21 people are tuning in. Oh my gosh.
I believe this is exactly what you want, Patiba. What did I tell you? Be careful for what you wish for, right? Everything you're seeking is seeking you. So we got to get this message out and
Wow.
chai together. Amazing
Wow,
job.
that's
First of all,
amazing.
let me compliment you on the great job you're doing here, Pratiba. It's been great to see you grow over these last 6 months, step into your greatness, your power, your magnificence. You are a perfect representation of the courage, hope, and imagination of what's possible when you step into what you truly want to do in life. And so, great
Yeah.
job. Love
And I
what you're
want
doing,
to,
Pratiba.
yeah, thanks. And I want to tell everyone that the imagination aspect came from you because when I was doing the acronym, I was going with intention and then you said imagination. So that's where that came from. Hi, Pastor Deborah, Donica, Usman, everyone else. So, all right. So let's dig into your story. So, where do you want to begin?
Fire away, Pratiba. Like I said, I always like to do these interviews without any questions in advance. I just, spirit, universe speaks to me, and so
Yeah.
let me know what you normally do with your guests. We can start in the beginning and kind of,
Okay.
fast forward to now, whatever you want. I'm here. I'm here
Yeah,
to
we
be
just
serving.
share the journey. So we start really anywhere. So let's start, with your childhood, because I know you have a mental health journey of your own because things weren't always as great as they are today, right?
Right.
So let's begin with, how was your, home and family when you
Sure.
were.
No, Pratiba, and I speak about this often, you guys, and I'm in proof, you guys, when you hear my story, that I know if I can have the success and have the life of my dreams I have today, any of you listening right now can have it. Grew up in Flint, Michigan, right? Good old Flint, Michigan, broken home in a time when that really wasn't common back then. Wasn't, Pratiba, no comments there. It wasn't that long ago. And so my parents they got married when they were very young. They were, 17 and 19. My mom had two kids by the time she was 20. And my dad went to work on the assembly line. He hung car doors and he did that for 40 some years till he retired. But it was not a good marriage. I think, didn't know what they were doing. They were kids. So a lot of fighting, a lot of just not pleasant times.
Mm-hmm.
At age 7, they got divorced. And then my mom had a new boyfriend. It seemed to be a pattern. She has her own paradigms, right? Well, anyway,
Yeah.
the new boyfriend moved in. He had a daughter, was 18, 19 years old. So she became my babysitter for the next couple of years. I speak openly about what she did to me. And so I see now, looking backwards, obviously what that set in motion, right? By age 12, I started drinking, and but all in private, right? Nobody knew,
Mm-hmm.
because on the outside, I was this quiet little boy, never in trouble. School was my salvation. I did really well in school. I had teachers actually wanted to kind of kidnap me and keep me uh, and hide me under their desk. And so I couldn't wait to get to school, especially to a couple of those teachers who really were my angels. And then my grandmother, who was so instrumental in my life, would
Hmm.
start making me listen to people like Les Brown in my teens, right? She'd make me listen to him every Sunday on the radio. First AME Church in Detroit. But now, as I got older, I realized, looking back, that the choices I made were a result of the things that happened to me at a very young age, right? I took on a belief system and a self-image that I was not good enough, right? What was wrong with me? Because this woman, uh, you can imagine a 7, 8-year, 9-year-old boy. I love the attention, and here I was getting something that I was not getting from my parents, something that I knew on some level was not right, right? But it was some kind of secret thing. So I believe the story I told myself is there must be something special about me that she
Mm,
would want to do this with me. And
mm,
yet there was this mixed message because she had a boyfriend, right? And then I started to wonder and doubt, what is it about me? Why am I not good enough? And then you can you can trace it and track it all throughout my 20s and 30s. The choices I made were a result of that mindset that I would choose relationships that were not unavailable and set out on a mission to prove to them that I was worthy of being loved. And it was not good for Tiba, right? Because then I started doing other things, right? Drugs and looking outside of myself to fill that hole. Um, one poor relationship after another, uh, other choices that were not in the healthiest and best from a best place of mindset, right? And so got fired from every job. I was hired. I worked at Arby's my first job.
me too.
There you go, Patuba. And but I would always go back to that personal development, the self improvement stuff that my grandma would push me on, the messages I'd hear from Les
Mm,
Brown. That I knew my dad wanted something more, but he was stuck in this hamster wheel of not trusting himself and just being so comfortable, thinking that that's all he could do. And so I excelled in school. I said, this is my ticket to get out of Flint, Michigan, out of the situation.
mm,
I had an MBA by age 23.
wow.
But again, there was another choice where I decided I didn't have money to pay for my school. I borrowed it from someone on the condition I either paid it back or came to work for their company for 2 years. I wanted to I wanted to be a teacher, Prativa, right? I wanted to be a coach back then, but everyone outside of me told me they don't get paid any money. So what did I do? I went and got an MBA, right? Go after the finance thing. And so that set in motion choices and decisions that were not true to my core, not true to who I am. And then here we are 3 decades later, me chasing things that I thought I wanted, but never really pursuing what was truly in my heart and passion until I met Bob Proctor, right? And Les Brown on a personal level and built relationships and partnerships with both of them that allowed me to understand that I did have that one unique thing, right? I call it the million in you, right? That one special unique thing that Pratiba does better than anyone else on the planet, that I do better than anyone else on the planet, your unique gift. And then with what you talk about here, right? Your courage and hope and your imagination, you guys can now realize that you can recreate and design the life of your dreams each and every day.
Yeah. So may I ask you a question and stuff?
I'm an open book, Pratiba. Anything you want.
All right. So I want to ask you, during that time when, the lady did those acts with you, right? And let's just be straight up, they were sexual activity, right? Yeah.
Yes, that
Okay.
would be
So
correct.
when she was doing that, all those things, did you ever go and tell someone during that point, or when was it you talked about it, or your grandma?
No, nobody, Pratiba, nobody. I did not tell anyone about it.
Hmm.
And then she moved away. I gained a lot of weight. I
Yeah.
started pulling out my hair.
As a
Uh,
coping.
I
Yeah.
started to sneak and steal alcohol at age 12. I,
Oh my
I sound like
goodness.
I'm a big drinker, but I was stealing, prescription bottles full of booze, like this little bit of amount, right? But at
Yeah.
12, that's a huge amount. And I was trying to figure out where I could fit in. I was trying to numb the pain.
Yeah.
And I just felt that I had this secret and I couldn't share it. My mom had her own drama going on all the time, right? That
Yeah.
that one didn't last long. And then there was another one. So she was always busy with her life. And it wasn't until my mid-20s that I finally spoke up and told my mom that what had
Wow.
happened. And um, her response is to try to hunt the woman down. I'm like, just leave it be, right?
Yeah.
It's not why I'm telling you. But I
Mhm.
realized and see how stressful and the strain that
Mhm.
it caused on my relationship with my mom. A lot of anger, a lot of resentment that I carried with me for a long time. Um, and I realized that to be sexually abused at that young age, right, it
Mhm.
caused a lot of trauma.
Mhm.
And yet I still did not change my behavior. While I believed it on one level that there was a different way I could think, act, and operate, I continued to act out in ways, Pratiba, that were consistent with that mindset of I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy, that there must be something wrong with me because she doesn't want to be with me, and yet she's willing to do these things with me in private and in secret. And yeah, I experimented with drugs and alcohol and, uh, traveling, right? It was just an
Yeah.
escape. I find
Yeah.
myself in making choices and being in bars and clubs and with um, women that were not the healthiest of choices for me, right? All in an effort to numb the pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to say there's two directions people go in when they go through that sexual trauma is either they become more sexual or they shut down and don't become sexual at all. And
Mhm.
that happening to you, the same things happened to me. So I can definitely relate to all the things you're saying. And I want to say that Miss Carolyn Brooks said it's amazing because the first time she's hearing your story, and me too, the way you putting it now. And, everyone's thanking you for your transparency. And I believe knowing you, as my coach, this is the really important part because networking, such as you say, is about creating and building those relationships. So let's talk a little bit about, what networking means to you and that two people removed rule.
Sure. No, great, Pratiba. A lot of people hear that networking word, they start to freak out, right? They get a lot of anxiety. They're like, oh God, I'm an introvert. No, you're not an introvert. You weren't born an introvert. You learn
Mhm,
these things. It's that learned behavior of the paradigms and the mental habits. All's networking is at its very basic level. We just have to go back to Webster's dictionary, right? It's just basically the exchange of information with other people to help further one's career and business, right? And so that's all it is. And when you start to understand that we're all in this together, you guys, whether it doesn't matter
mhm,
what you believe, but we all came from one place, we're all going to
mhm,
transition to one place. While we're here, let's build and create the relationships that we need to help each other achieve the life of our dreams. Let's leave people always with the impression of increase. Let's treat each other as if we're the most important person in the world, because to us we are, right? And that's
mhm,
how we should treat each other. So what happened is I started to realize in my 20s and 30s that I had a very unique gift to build and create relationships with some of the top people in the world, right? It started with
mhm,
celebrities, it started with then sports figures, and then with very wealthy people, millionaires and billionaires.
mhm.
So, and then also in the online marketing space, right? Some of my best friends now are some of the top people in their
Yeah.
space. Les Brown, Bob Proctor. I set myself an intention that no matter what, I'm going to have these guys teach me somehow. I'm going to be in their inner circle and learn
Mhm,
from the best. And this, Pratik, I always say, don't worry about how it's going to happen. So what did I do? I started to understand that I was one or two connections away from anyone on the planet, right? That I truly believe that, and this is a mindset I teach all of you guys, is to know that you can
mhm,
get through anyone in the world through one or two connections
mhm.
over and over again. Now, some of them may seem far-fetched, but so did it back in the 60s when John Kennedy said, we're going up to that round thing up in the sky, right? Or when the Wright brothers said that we're going to master the air. And so we have to start to think illogically, right? We have to be unrealistic to become unstoppable, right? And live the life of our dreams. So when you take on that mindset to know that you can get to anyone in the world, you then have to also have a very good reason why you want to do it, Pratik, right? This is not about selfies and saying you shared the stage with I don't know who it is, Bill Gates or Warren Buffett,
Mhm,
when you spoke on a Friday and they were a keynote on a Sunday, and they have no clue who you are. This is about being authentic and real and building
mhm,
real relationships where I can say to Pratiba, yes, I can pick up my phone and call that person. Why?
mhm,
Because it all started with giving value first. When I sat in that last row of that class at the Paradigm Shift 6 years ago and listened to Bob Proctor speak to me for 2.5 days and tell me basically my problem was only, actually, he used the word mental, and not in the sense of mental illness, in the sense of
yeah.
wrong mental thinking.
Mhm,
And I sat there and I said, one day I'm going to be in his inner circle, one of his closest people to him, build a relationship with him, have him teach me,
mhm,
and somehow work with him. But I have no idea how that was going to turn into the decision I made last year to become one of his certified consultants. There's 1,500 of us around the world.
mhm.
Larry Normile. He was client number one. I don't
Yay.
think you were that much further after Pratiba. And I signed my 100th client in December. I ended up in the
Yeah.
top 1% for the year. And it's just not because of me so much as it is because of people like you, Pratiba, who actually We're willing to look at things a different way and then take different action than you've ever done before. And here we are now on your show.
You caught me right on time when I joined. It was right on time because I was looking for that, right? I was looking to develop myself, and I'm grateful that I had the funds during that time from teaching, actually, from being a teacher.
Yes, that's awesome,
So,
Pratibha. But again, Pratibha, let me just stop you there. I did
yeah.
not catch you on time. You actually caught yourself on time, right?
Ah.
And so when you make that decision, the universe, God's spirit, will put people, places, and things in your path,
Mm.
not as signs, but as confirmation that yes,
Mhm.
you're moving in the right direction. So
I just want to, thanks everyone for tuning in. I just want to tell them that, I did have someone, in my ear about you the first night, as I shared with you. And, I didn't make an impulsive decision and quit because of someone's opinion about you. So it's really about, when you get tested, right? And I said, no, I like him. I think he's kind. I'm not going to listen to what someone else has to say, right? Imagine if I would have quit that night and I would have never been part of the Power Voice. You just don't know. You don't listen to others. You have to listen to yourself. And that's the most important thing.
I'm so glad you did, Pratibha, because my life would have been that much poorer for it, right? You've been a true blessing,
Oh,
not just as a client, but as a friend, right? I don't consider you
yeah.
guys clients, but this is a real family, right? This is a way of
Mhm.
life. This is something that it's a community that we're building, and I envision and see us all sticking together as we continue to push each other to grow.
Yeah.
There are people who are going to say things and talk gossip, and I want to
Mhm.
commend you for not listening to that person, right?
Mhm.
I always encourage anyone, if they have any issue with me, always ask yourself, one, first of all, know that you can speak to me. Two,
Yeah.
it's not about me. Well, if someone has an issue with me, Pratibha, it's not about me at all, right? We're just peers.
Mhm.
Ask yourself, what is it really about? And you'll find the answer, right? Go inward
Mhm.
and say, what is it about this person that gives me some kind of charge? And usually you'll find the answer within. It's that you're upset about something about yourself.
Hmm.
And again, Reverend Ike, right? You heard Bob speak about it the other day. I'll be damned. He used the word damned. If I would ever, sorry, Pastor Deborah, but Reverend Ike used the word. If I would ever allow anyone's opinion of me to cause me to feel a certain way. Now, what
Mm.
happened to you? I spent decades worrying about what everyone thought about me. And the worst thing was as what I thought about myself. I
Mhm.
couldn't even look myself in the mirror, Prativa, because of the shame and guilt that I had not gotten over, thinking that there must be something wrong with me on one level, right?
Mhm.
And yet I knew that there's a reason why you're all here. There's a reason why I'm here. And so the key is really to understand your story, not get stuck in the story, not get stuck in the past. Because
Mm.
what happens when you live from the past, you have a very predictable future. Awareness is the key, right? Awareness is the key to know that you can change your life on an instant.
I want to ask you, do you recall the feeling that you first had when, you were in the celebrity industry, when you were meeting these people? Did you feel fulfilled inside in the beginning and then you realized I still have a void? Like, how was that for you?
Yeah, I can remember the very first person I met, Prativa. I was sitting on an airplane. I'd become friends with a guy from In Living Color, Tom
Mhm.
Davidson, comedian. He invited me for the first time ever to an event in Miami. He says, we're going to take a private jet. So here's some kid from Michigan. I'm thinking, wow, this is the greatest thing. And as we're sitting there at the airport, we're waiting for someone to come in, and in walks Steven Seagal. Now,
Mhm.
at the time, Steven was one of the highest paid actors in the world, hugely
Mhm.
famous. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. From there, I ended up meeting Akon, right? And yes, wow, this is great. Flying to London, end up flying in business class from London to India, doing a private party with a billionaire. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And then
Mm.
I start flying around the world, going to all these wonderful events, Pratiba, some of the most exclusive destinations in the world. And I'm grateful for it. But there
Mhm.
was always something missing. I was doing things that I thought my ego wanted me to fulfill, Pratiba, and my life was still empty, right? Still making choices in my personal life, not having the relationship of my dreams, still doing things to help everyone else live their dreams, but yet at the sacrifice of mine.
Hmm.
And so it was not until last year that I said enough already, right? I saw a picture of my two kids. I have two kids. Both their moms are from Trinidad. And that was another thing, Pratiba, that bothered me for a great deal, right? About the choices I made that caused a lot of drama, mess, and destruction and hurt to a lot of people, right? Based on the choices I made. But I realized that I could not continue to live in I had to let that go, right? And I could only do what I could do from here on out and be the best father I could be, to make sure that I let those two little kids know that I love them very much, and to appreciate and honor and acknowledge their mothers for the job they do in raising these kids of mine. And so I finally let it go. And it wasn't until a year ago, almost about the same exact time, I saw a picture. Actually, it's right there behind my desk.
Yeah, I know it.
And I said to myself, because things had started to slow down, I was putting a lot of deals together. I'd built relationships with, people like Damon John, Bob Proctor, Les Brown, Grant Cardone, Onyx Segal, Sonny Rick, all these top people. And I'm like, I'm not happy. I'm not having fun. I'm not doing anything. And I saw this picture and I said to myself, one day they're going to get old enough to say, Dad, what is it exactly that you do? And I'm like, how am I going to answer them? I'm like, well, I hustle, put deals together, get to fly around the world and meet cool people. And I'm like, no, that's not what the legacy I want to live, right? You heard Les, if you were on last night, Pratibha, talk about leaving a legacy that when your children and your grandchildren speak about you, they're like, wow, he made a difference in the world, right? And so what did he say? Live like a legend. I wasn't living like a legend at all. I was living like a hustler, somebody just worried about, feeding the ego, getting some quick money, and then just not really living the life of my dreams. So I said, I'm going to change. I looked at everything that I was doing in my life. I looked at the people in my life, and I made a committed decision to clean out those people that were not in alignment with what I want. And what is it that I want? I want to teach. I love to teach. I love to coach people to know that they have something very special in them, that they can have the life of their dreams no matter what they've been through. I didn't even share half of the other stuff, Pratibha. I used to, when I was in my 20s. I like to say I'm like the United Nations of mental challenges, right? You want to talk about eating disorder? I'm happy to share. You want to talk about sexual abuse? I'm happy to share. You want to talk about harming and doing things to your body to get attention? I'm happy to share, right? And so there's all these different elements that I did in my late teens and early 20s, Pratibha, right? Trying to find the solution that would heal that person on the inside. And so I realized last year, I said, no more. I'm going to do what I love to do. Always been close to Bob Proctor. You know the story, how he built that relationship, made the decision to become one of his consultants. And again, the committee kicked in. I decided in May. I didn't do anything till the middle of July. And Larry signed up. He was client number one, July 24th. And from that, I love each and every day. I have a great relationship with my kids. I have, very closely, I have the relationship of my dreams, right, with a very special. I now do the things that I want to do, regardless of what anyone else thinks. I love my life, right, and I love my clients. I love all of you guys, right, because you guys are seeing that what's possible when you believe in yourself, when you don't allow the past to dictate and predict your future, that you can really define and decide your future as you decide, right?
So let me just say, wow, because harming yourself and the eating disorder, a lot of us we're all saying wow, like in general.
You made me a promise. I forgot about the promise I made to you that I would actually open up and be very, very open.
Oh, yes. I did ask Jon, and Carolyn's really glad she's able to hear this today, but I did ask Jon to open up more, like, the story is great, how he always speaks about mindset, but really more about you, because, everyone would love to know more about you. Sure. And the one thing I want to say is this is all done in a short amount of time, such as, my 6-month journey, I've transformed so much. And for you too, because I don't believe we all realize that you started your journey not too long ago, just when you started with Les, right? That's when you started getting your clients as well. And it seemed to us, for me meeting you that, oh, you've already been doing this for so long because of your confidence level and how you, the perspective that I have of you. So, and I just want to say that all these things have aligned for you because you made that committed decision, right? That this is what you're going to do. Now I have something purposeful as a legend. This is the legacy I want to leave behind. Before that, you didn't have, that great relationship you're looking for. You didn't have something to leave behind that your children will be, grateful for. So do you really feel that it is because of your committed decision that things are aligning for you now?
100% Pratiba. You guys, you have to make a committed decision to decide what you really want, not what you think you can get. And for years, I used to make decisions based on what I thought, not even that I could get, but maybe that's all I deserved, right? And and I will go back to, I believe all of our problems is really mostly around our self-image and self-confidence. I'm not joking with you, Pradeep. When I used to go into the bathroom and want to wash my face, I would not be able to look at myself in the mirror because I was so ashamed of the person who I had become because of the choices I made and what that I made that mean about myself. I would look at an angle, right? Look on an angle, wash my face and get the heck out of there. It wasn't until a year ago when I made that decision to say, okay, I got to change. I have
Wow.
to change. Self-confidence formula. I stood in front of that mirror every day and read that self-confidence formula. I read psycho-cybernetics. I realized that I had these two self-images. If you look at my life from the outside, it looked great, right? I get great people, celebrities, legends, industry leaders, the top of the top. The other self-image was this guy who was sitting here with days passing away, unhappy, feeling empty, feeling like I'm not making a contribution to myself, my children, and my community. And I said, no more, right? No more. And you have to get to that point where you get fed up with mediocrity, fed up with nonsense, fed up with the story and the committee of your past trying to run your life and your future, and say, no, not today. And I'm going to do things in a different way than I've ever done before. May not know what that is, doesn't matter. The minute you make that committed decision, God, Spirit, the universe will respond to that and start providing opportunities, Prativa, to you, right? People, places, things will start to show up. Other people call them miracles, coincidence, or luck, right? Those are just words to explain things that people do not understand. And as I got more understanding about, I could decide and think my way into the results that I wanted in my life, that I realized the only issue in the world is awareness, to know that everything's already here in one form or another. I made that committed decision. I said, I'm going to pursue my dream. I love to teach and coach people and teach them how to build and create the exact relationships they need to live the life of their dreams. What is the most important relationship that we need to work on, Prativa?
Ourselves.
Exactly. So I teach you have to connect to the right kind of thinking first. You have to connect to the right message. The right message is not what you tell the world. It's it's what you tell yourself. Who is it? Who are you? And what is it that you truly want? And then you make decisions from that place, right? Knowing you're God's highest form of creation, spirit, whatever you believe, right? And then you start taking action. But you got to get clear on what you want, Jiba.
I am John. Thank you. Dolly's here. So many people are here. Yeah. And it comes to mind that those of you who haven't seen the Matrix trailer on Bob Proctor's website, John is in that trailer and I pointed it out to him. So you guys should check it out and see how he used to look. And I'm not going to say the rest because I do some digging and I'll find everything. But
let them know the hair was still the same. The haircut.
You had the beard.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
So you mentioned on your own regarding the eating disorder and harming yourself. So what was that eating disorder you had? What were you struggling with?
Yeah, Pratima, I actually rarely ever even talked about this, but I would, no, it's all right, fine. It's, I would eat and then throw up. I got so good at it. I guess, like I say, right, if you're going to do something, do it 100%. I created 100% drama in my life over the years. So with that, I got so good at it, Pratima, I could actually even just think it. I wouldn't even have to do the part where, most people do when they purge themselves, right? And so I would overeat. Myself thinking it was going to make me feel better, and then immediately afterwards start to regret what I did, and then I just
it's really intriguing and fascinating how one incident in your life, such as what that person decided to do to you, project onto you, right? That it affected the rest of your whole life, such as it does for many people, the trauma, right? Yeah. And did you ever find yourself wanting to get help through therapy or know much about mental health or not at all?
Another great question, Pratima. You're opening the whole door, aren't you, today? You going?
I like to. I'm going slow and steady because it's you. So.
Right. Well, no problem, you guys. And I really, truly hope this helps somebody. If you need to speak to someone, reach out to Pratima or somebody that can help you. Don't have to.
Just a moment before you go on. I do want to say people are really happy that they get to see the human side of you. They're saying.
Does that make me the inhuman on Monday and Tuesday for our calls, Pratima?
It's possibly because you're teaching the material, the content of just PGI and not
Sure.
having a life conversation. That's possibly what it is. So new people, newcomers, new clients as well, they don't know you.
Welcome, you guys. And yes, it's so important, you guys. We don't understand that those first few years of our life, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, set in motion the programs, the paradigms that
Yeah.
dictate how we're going to live our life out. As I shared earlier,
Hmm.
for those 2 years, what happened to me by my woman who was entrusted to take care of me, right? And so
Yeah.
started drinking at 12. As I got older, Pratibha, 15, 16, started drinking even more. Nobody knew. Giant secret. I think my mom found out at age 15. My friends dumped me on my patio and rang the
You
doorbell.
God.
But even then, Pratibha, I was so good at leveraging and using the fact that, you don't understand. It's the divorce. I was trying to save my skin, right?
Oh.
As I went off through high school, I had this kind of secret life, right? I was really a great student. I was never in trouble. Behind the scenes, just longing to try to feel like I could fit in somewhere. I had great friends. I had great friends from the other side of the tracks. I had great friends from the wealthy side of the tracks. And yet I never felt like I belonged to either one. In my early 20s, drinking even more. I was very fortunate. As I said earlier, I poured myself into my education, right? I knew that that's
Yeah.
what felt very good. And by age 23, I had 2 degrees. And then a certain level of arrogance came over me and my ego started to run my life. I was living in Southern California and I took a job that I didn't want to do. And within 2 years, I was fired, right? As I deserved to be. Started my own company. That didn't work out. On the same time, having these mental challenges and really creating a mess in everything that I did, Pratibha. I lost my apartment. I was on the verge of bankruptcy,
Wow.
all based on my decisions.
Mm.
And yeah, I did seek help. I got counselors. Again, they told me, stop drinking, stop doing drugs. They told me, that if I didn't, they were going to, I think, intervene or put me on something. Now, mind you, I
Yeah.
didn't wake up every day and feel like I had to have a drink, but on the weekend, I would do what I needed to do to numb the pain,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so I'd act out in different ways.
Yep.
Uh, But now what you notice mostly, Prativa, is counselors they don't want to really deal with the cause. They don't want to deal with the symptoms and put you on medication, right? And so
Hmm.
I try, that just kind of numbs you out, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I know. Yeah. My mom's on that now and she's a zombie. So I definitely understand. Um,
But again, my grandma was always my saving grace, Prativa. She always reminded me about how
wow.
special that I was, that I could read books by Og Mandino, that I could read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I could listen to Les Brown on Sundays, and that gave me hope. It left me with a sliver of hope, and that's what I want to share with all you guys. Know that hope is here, right? Whether it be with Prativa, whether it be with what I do, just believe in something. You guys believe in someone's belief in you until you can catch up your behavior and your belief to match the understanding that you are a miracle, right? You have amazing capabilities and powers and can do, be, and have whatever you want. So yeah, that's what happened, Prativa. As I moved through my 30s again, while the other
Hmm.
stuff subsided, I still made poor choices, right? I made choices from a very different mindset and a very low vibration, looking at these relationships of trying to prove myself, right?
So may I ask, there are a lot of people who grow up without a father figure. So was there your own father or a father figure in your life in those years or no?
So my dad used to come get my brother and I. Back then. It was every other weekend, right? So he would
Hmm.
come every other weekend. Uh, he worked his butt off to make sure that my brother and I were doing okay. But he was
Yeah.
working on the assembly line, second shift. He was exhausted, but he would pick us up Friday
Mm.
night, drop us back on Sunday.
Mm.
As I got older, my mother got remarried. Her second husband really was a wonderful guy. He got me involved in playing hockey, and so
Oh, wow.
that's something that I love to do. As I got older, my aunt
Hmm.
married a wonderful man who was a hugely successful entrepreneur and always pushed me to know that I could be, do, and have whatever I wanted, right? And so there's
Wow.
always been, guys, if you'll take the time to notice, you have all these guardian angels in your life, right? They're there.
Hmm.
You just sometimes don't see them. And so it's
Yeah.
important, Kiva, that sometimes we take off the glasses and realize and be grateful for what we do have, right? Realizing that we have amazing gifts and
Hmm.
and people in our lives that we sometimes take for granted.
I can't see without, but I'll keep faith. I can't see without them.
Yes. Yes, Allison Hall, I played hockey and I loved it.
Oh, and all right. So that was a whole journey we just went through. And I want to ask you, how much of that trauma is still active in your life today that you feel is trapped in your body still?
No, Pratiba, what happens is as you develop the
Mhm.
awareness and do this work, right? It's
Yeah.
a constant daily repetition thing
Mhm.
about knowing that you can master your mindset. And those old paradigms creep up, right? The feeling
Mhm.
not worthy, feeling that you're not a priority, and actually they creep up today. And
Aw.
but you know what? We recognize it, and you don't stay there long, and
Mhm.
apologize for it, right? You apologize and let the person know that it wasn't about them. That you sometimes these old paradigms creep in, but now we have the tools to move through them quickly, Pratiba, right? Even as Bob
Mhm.
said, he's 6 years old. He still has the paradigms. I call it the committee that shows up to try to hold that morning meeting, right? The morning Zoom
Mhm.
call. And what you want to do is dismiss it and recognize it, right? Am I
Mhm.
making my choices now from my old paradigms, an old way of being, or am I making choices from what I have clearly defined as a written down goal of what I want for my life? And so when you
Mhm.
make choices from the past, you hurt other people, even though you don't mean to, right? You say things and you cause hurt when it's not necessary. And so
Mhm.
this morning that happened. And, I apologize to the person that she knows I love her very much, but uh, it's it's an ongoing battle for people, and that's why it's so important that we surround ourselves with like-minded people. We stay in
Okay.
communities, listen to shows like yours, stay in the work. Always want to be learning. You heard lots of you guys around last night. Les is always
Yeah.
studying to be better. I'm always looking at ways of how I can be a better service to my clients and
Mm.
to the community that we've developed. And it's about understanding that for people, we're not responsible for them, but we're responsible to them. You're responsible to your listeners to provide the best kind of value and content you can to make a difference in their life and let them know that hope is here, right? That with C.H.A.I together, right? We can grow together, heal together, and dream and live together. And so
Mm.
it's important to recognize the paradigms, the mental habits, and the choices that you make in each and every moment, right?
Mm.
Is it going to move me close to my goal and dream? Is that the paradigm acting up again, saying, okay, you know, you know, I need attention, or you have that feeling again, that self-image is acting up, and you're not feeling like you're worthy or something. They'll always come up. How long they stay is up to you.
Mm. Well said, coach. Well
Thank
said.
you.
Take a bow. Oh, namaste. Yeah. All right. Would you like to answer this question? Carolyn wants to know your relationship with your mom.
Actually, Carolyn, I'm not sure if you were on with Mr. Brown last night, but my mom joined the call last night, and then for me, it was very touching. You guys don't know the story. I had to get her and walk her through how to use a Zoom link at 3 in the afternoon and get her on. And so, uh, but I will be very
Oh.
honest, Carolyn, it has been challenging for many of years, right? And for many decades, actually. And I realized that I blamed her for what happened to me. And
Mm-hmm.
for many years, I was very angry at her, right? I lived my life angry, pissed off, excuse my language, but just mad at the world
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for forcing me to what I believe was to grow up way before I had to feel like I had no childhood. People tell me even still today, sometimes lighten up a little bit more, smile more, right? Have more
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate I think Fernanda's listening, but her as well. And they tell me to smile more, right? And so we didn't have a great relationship. And so I was able to work on that and realize that it wasn't about her, it was about me. And what was the lesson that taught me? That I I had to take full responsibility for everything, even though that we're young and that something very tragic happened to me and happened to.
Mm-hmm.
What was the lesson in that? The lesson was that I can now no longer have to allow my past to define me. What I can
Mm.
realize that my self-worth, my self-image does not depend on anything outside of myself other than what's in myself. And so I can now look in the mirror and say, I love myself, I love who I am. I can now be okay with the choices I've made, Pratiba, even though if I look back, okay, I see where it could have been differently, but I will not live 1 second of regret because everything that I went through has led me to the place where I am today. Absolutely love my life. I have two beautiful kids. I have a beautiful relationship with an amazing woman, right? I have clients that I absolutely love because they get amazing results because they're going out, stepping into their greatness, changing the world, changing their community, changing their families' lives, and absolutely just this is what's possible for all of us. I don't want you guys to have to wait 4 decades. I don't want you to have to go through another day, right, of suffering,
Mm.
especially in silence, and to think that there's not any hope. So to circle back, Carolyn, to your answer now, my relationship with my mother is much better, and she was on the call last night. So
Everyone's happy for you. Do you want to share a bit about the inner circle?
yes, so you guys, what I do, I don't like to say
They're
I'm a life
all
coach.
on.
Yeah, no
Mhm.
problem. Pradeep, I'm a results coach, you guys. Why? Because it's about getting results, right? It's not about you don't need to hear any more good stories about stuff you want to hear. You need to hear what's going to get you what you want, not what you think.
Mhm.
You need somebody to push you to recognize that you have unlimited capability and possibility. So
Mhm.
what I do, obviously, we have a 6-month mastermind. I teach Bob Proctor's thinking into results, understanding that if you connect to the right thinking, the right kind of message, the right kind of network, you guys become unstoppable. On top of that, we now have an inner circle, which is for some of our other members who are actually people that are going to go out and help grow my business, grow the community, and lead other people through the path of thinking into results as well. It's an amazing program, Pratima. I absolutely love it. And
Mhm.
your listeners who aren't my clients, I see a lot of our clients are on here, Pratima. But if you're not and you're interested in finding out more about how I can show you exactly how to get what you want, reach out to Pratima. She'll make an introduction, and then let's get you moving, right? We have to
Mm.
go, you guys. Pratima knows I love the quote, universe loves speed, right? I
Yeah.
love speed. Success loves speed. And so let's get moving, right? We've been dying for what we don't want long enough. Let's die for what we do want. And let me help show you how I can get you exactly what you want.
I wanted to add one thing. I'm told that, the course by Earl Nightingale, right, for the inner circle, right?
Right.
This course, many top successful people have become more successful because of this course, such as Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins, and a few other top people. So it's really a great investment if, it can lead you to even more success. And especially if successful people have already took it and gotten results, I don't see why someone wouldn't. So that's all I
Right.
want
Oh,
to say. Yeah.
and to touch on that again, Pratima, my inner circle course and program that we teach is all based on lead.
Mhm.
Earl Nightingale. If you haven't listened to that on YouTube, you want to go and listen to his program on Lead the Field, right? 12 lessons to transform your life in the world, right? And so lesson one is the magic word. What is the magic word? The magic word is attitude, right? Attitude.
Yeah.
We can change our life simply by changing our attitude of mind, right? William James said that. And so when you
Mhm.
realize that by simply changing your attitude, you can transform and change your life instantly, you want to do stuff each and every day to maintain that great attitude. How do you maintain a great attitude? You cultivate gratitude. All my clients, every day, 10 people they're grateful for. Every day, not Monday through Friday, right? Our goals and dreams don't take the weekend off. You want to binge out on something? Binge out on some gratitude this week. Call up a family member, tell them how much you love them, right? If there's a relationship that's lingering, that's bothering you, right? This feels heavy. Make a
Mhm.
phone call, right? Do something to clean that up. So cultivate a great attitude. So what Bob Proctor did, who's been studying this stuff for 60 years, you guys, he actually worked with Earl Nightingale. Bob has been doing this 60 years, been reading one book. You might say that doesn't make any sense to read the same book. Well, it's illogical, but guess what? It's allowed him to make millions of dollars around the world and impact millions of lives around the world. So if your way
Mhm.
is not working, how about trying my way and trying Bob's way? He went and recreated, re-recorded this program, brought it up to date, and it is by far one of the most amazing courses on the planet. You guys lead the field with Bob Proctor, and that's what we do over the course of those 4 months: is walk you and teach you through lead the field. So, thank you.
Yeah. I hope that clarifies more about the inner circle too,
Yes.
everyone. So yeah, thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for being on Chai Together.
You're welcome, Pratiba. So proud of you again, Pratiba. I want to just acknowledge you and honor you in front of your guests and your listeners for what an amazing, powerful woman you are, what an
Oh,
impact
thank you.
and influence you made on my life and all of their lives, and what you're doing in your community to help people who are having some mental challenges, right? And that
Mhm.
reach out for help, that they have shows like yours that can show them that there is another way to be, that they don't have to suffer in silence, right? And so sometimes it's the hardest part, you guys, taking that first step to let somebody know what you're going through or what you've gone through. But we're here for you. Pratiba's here for you. And I want to remind you, right, of how special you truly are. And so, Pratiba, with that, I really appreciate you having me. I appreciate you adjusting the time today. And I look
Thank
forward to talking.
you.
Thanks, Pratiba.
Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye.